Here are 20 brands I will no longer be picking up in 2022. Hey guys, my name is Erlia, otherwise known as martziechic, and welcome to my channel. I am a resale and consignment business, and I make a lot of videos covering reselling, thrifting, and everything in between. So if you guys want more videos just like this one, be sure to hit that little subscribe button down below. And also, you'll be doing me a huge favor when you hit the like button down below, because it really helps me and supports my channel in growing. Now, before we start this video, however, I did just want to come in with a little bit of a disclaimer. The first thing is, obviously, these things are time sensitive. Trends change, brands range in popularity over time, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're watching this video 5 years from now, the trends have probably changed. I compiled a list of 20 brands today that had an average net profit for me less than 50%. So these are all items that I picked up, whether that be at the bins, the buy-sell trade store, the thrift store, whatever, online, retail arbitrage, you know what I'm talking about, any of my methods, but it fell below the 50% mark. Now, I think the 50% mark is a great benchmark to hit, but each person has a variable business. This is just what I deemed to be on the lower end of things for me personally. And I also thought it would be interesting to compare how my numbers compared with Terapeak. If you don't know what Terapeak is, it is free when you have an eBay store. So if you have that and you haven't checked it out yet, I absolutely would do that. So basically, I compared those with the average sell-through rate as well as the average sales price for everything that's been listed and sold on eBay, so you guys can get an even better idea of why I think these items didn't perform that well. I also will be telling you guys a little bit more about how I got in contact with the brand, whether that just be finding it myself or maybe trying it out myself, as well as the most common one, which is when you're scrolling through Instagram and it seems like every reseller has an opinion on what sells best. So I'm going to leave this up to you guys. You can tell me if you agree or disagree down in the comments, or you can add your own brands that have not performed well for you in 2021. But this is just my complete list of brands that I'm going to be starting to avoid. Now, of course, every situation is different, and some of these brands do have higher end items that are way more profitable than others. So just keep that in mind today. I'll try to mention that, but if I don't, feel free also to comment that down in the comments. But anyways, we are going to head right into these 20 brands. The first brand I wanted to talk about here was Girlfriend Collective. So I had stumbled upon Girlfriend Collective, I would say a month or two ago, when I had found it in my local thrift store. This was a pretty easy sale for me, I would say. I think it was around $30 or $35, I can't remember. But that was still a pretty good profit from a thrift store. Now, I think a few weeks ago, I did find it in the buy-sell trade store, and I had it on my Home Mysteries for Christmas. If you hadn't checked that out yet, I'll leave that linked above and down below. But I believe I mentioned a pair of leggings that I picked up from the buy-sell trade store. I think that I paid around $11 for those, and they ended up only making, I think, $20, and then after fees it was $16, so I only made about $5 on that pair of leggings. I had heard that Girlfriend Collective used to be more popular than it is right now, but you guys can be the judge of that. So it had a 10% sell-through rate with a $24 average sales price. The average sales price is really where this got me, and I think where the issue lies. I don't know if everything they sell is more low end, but it seems like with this low average sales price across the entire brand, things are going for a bit less than they ought to. The second brand on my list is none other than Sweaty Betty. So Sweaty Betty was a favorite of the resellers of Instagram. I was definitely wrong. This is not a bolo. I would say don't pick this up unless it is at the bins. The average sell-through rate for Sweaty Betty was only 6%, and the average sales price was $36. So if you're picking this up at the bins, it's great, but if you're paying up for it like I was, it's probably not the best idea. The third brand on my list here was one that I don't know why I thought was more expensive than it actually was. The brand is Cupcakes and Cashmere. I paid up for this on several occasions, and every single time I was wrong. So the average sell-through rate for Cupcakes and Cashmere was only 3% with an average sales price of $31. So I definitely made some mistakes by paying up for this brand. The fourth brand on my list might be surprising for some of you because I did mention it in a what sold video, so that means it was on the highest sales of the month for me, but that's only because it was a specific style. So the brand is Lovers and Friends. Only certain things from them go, and I would really suggest that you guys also get them when they are new with tags. I would say that the maxi dresses are good. The mini dresses, not so much. I had sold a crop top from the thrift store, and that is actually why this ended up on my list, because the average sales price was so low, and also because it just took forever to sell. After looking up the statistics on Lovers and Friends, it had a 5% sell-through rate with a $21 average sales price. So I would say that Lovers and Friends is definitely dead. You guys should not be picking this up anymore, unless, of course, it is one of those specialty styles. But even so, I think you're taking a risk. The fifth brand here definitely is going to surprise you. It's actually Mother. So I had an experience recently where I went to the Anthropologie sale. So if you don't know, Anthropologie does have some sales here and there. This was their 50% off sale, I think. And they ended up marking the jeans at $140 for Mother, which means that they would be about $70 when the discount was applied. So I just said that was a solid no for me. But I would actually not recommend you guys pick up Mother jeans. I mean, if they're new with tags, that's one thing. If they're a desirable style, I would pay up around $20 for the more desirable styles with tags. But for me, in my experience, Mother jeans usually sell around the $40 mark if they're used. So if you are buying a new tags pair, that's great, $20, even $30 might be your limit. If it's a super popular style that's sold out everywhere, that's fine. But use your own discretion with this brand, because I've been burned so many times with those $40 pair of jeans when I've paid up $15 for them in the buy sell trade store. So I'm not making a lot of money. If you're fine making the lower profit flips, that's absolutely no problem. It's just for me in my business, I do try to get $30 profit out of each item. So that way I know I'm pretty consistent in terms of how much I'm going to make for the month. Mother had an average sell-through rate of around 12%, which I would say is okay and what we all should strive for, really. And it had a $69 average sales price. This is because some other things from them might be high-end, like dresses, because they also do sell those. So I think that's why this is so high, but I would say in my own personal experience, these are kind of like a hit or miss item. They do always sell, I'll give them that, but the flip isn't as profitable as you'd hope it would be. The next brand here is one that I know everyone has been saying, but I really mean it this year. Do not pick up Free People. Now, again, of course, there are always exceptions with nice quality fabrics or really in-demand styles, but anything from their older line, I'm telling you right now, do not pick it up. It's going to sit, and it's always going to go lower than what you think it's going to go for. And this is the same for the next brand I want to mention as well. So Free People had an average sell-through rate of 5% with an average sales price of $32. Now, again, that's not bad, but when you consider how long they sit, so 5 items and 100 items listed from Free People will actually sell. That just tells you everything that you need to know. And that does go into the next brand as well, which is Urban Outfitters, which is very similar in styles. Urban Outfitters has a sell-through rate of only 4% and it has a $33 ASP. So when you pay for these items, you're really doing yourself an injustice in the amount of profit that you're gonna make. And the 10th brand here, I'm really upset about. It's been on my list for a while to start cutting this brand out, but it's really hard. The brand is actually Levi's, and I am going to say that there are really profitable styles of Levi's, like the 501, the wedgie fit, the rib cage, anything with a wide leg, straight leg, dad, whatever. Anything but the 712s, the 711s, or the 505s are really, really good sellers. But if you're not finding these at the bins or the local thrift stores, buy-sell trade stores and other outlets do price them up, and it gets really frustrating to be selling them at the prices that they're currently pricing them at. So I think the buy-sell trade stores near me are now starting to price Levi's, the 501s, and the wedgie fit at $22 or $20 a pair used. And the new tags ones in the stores, I think originally when I started paying up for them were only $20 or less. So if I can find them at $15, I've been picking them up, but even so, they've been selling around the $40 to $50 mark for me. So sometimes I'm not making that $30 profit that I want to be. They're always good sellers for me, but geez, I'm losing a lot of money and I'm investing a lot of money in picking them up. So I really am hoping in the new year to have the courage to stop picking up Levi's. Now, when I searched up Levi's, the items that were coming up in the Terapeak search were just all over the place, so I only limited this to 501 jeans. So I searched Levi's at 501s. The average sell-through rate was around 11%, which again is right below where I think people should be in my own personal opinion, and the average sales price is only $41. So after you take out platform fees and what you paid for the item, you're not making a lot of profit. The next brand here, I'm really hoping you guys are not picking up because I'm going to guarantee that it's been sitting for you as well, and that is Lulu's. So Lulu's actually used to be really good when I would find it in the bins, like a pair of their shoes or a dress or something, because at the time they would move pretty fast. But I think Lulu's is very oversaturated. There's a lot of older styles out there. You never really know what you're gonna get for it. The average sell-through rate for Lulu's is only 3%. So again, 3 items in 100 are going to sell. That is not a lot, and that's not nearly enough for what we need as resellers to make an income. Additionally, the average sales price for Lulu's was only $26, so unless you're picking this up in the bins, you are not making a lot of profit, and it would be really frustrating to sell this. So if you do find this in the bins, I would say turn it over to the buy-sell trade stores for an additional discount or money back, but otherwise I would say don't pick this item up. So the story behind the next brand I'm going to mention here is that I was following this really influential reseller on Instagram, and they had posted about this brand and how expensive it was and what they recently sold these pair of jeans at. I was like, you know what, the next time I find them, I'm going to pick them up. I ended up paying online for them. Big mistake. The brand is DL1961. I would even have to say that DL1961 has to be the worst on this entire list. The sell-through rate for this brand was only 2%, and the average sales price was $27. So even when you pick this up at the bins at 2%, guys, it is so frustrating to be able to sell this. I would really encourage you guys, if you already have these, to liquidate them. But of course, I'm not in charge of your business, so if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. But I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves on this one. The 13th brand on my list here is one we all know, we've all seen marked up at the thrift stores, and that is True Religion. So True Religion obviously was more popular in the early 2000s. I don't know anyone that really wears it. And every single time I find it in the thrift store, I find it marked at like $20, $30. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, I don't understand, but the numbers are actually pretty good for this. I don't understand. I don't. I think it's just a fashion thing. Some people like it, some people don't. Like, there are different things for everyone. So the sell-through rate for True Religion was 10%, and the average sales price was $33, which is okay, but you can never pay up for these then because you'll be making pennies on these. So if you find them in the bins, okay, fair game. But anything else, I would say no to. And it's actually funny that this is even on my list because I don't remember the last time I picked them up. Oh, I picked up True Religion when it was in my flip box. That's what it was. So I think I sold 2 pair of these in a bundle together from a flip consignment client. So that's where I got that from. After that is another brand that used to be super popular, I would say around last year's time, and that's Steve Madden. I used to really love selling Steve Madden shoes, as you guys know. But Steve Madden has really gone downhill. So Steve Madden now only has a 4% sell-through rate with an average sales price of $32. I used to pay around $12 to $15 for a pair of their shoes, the ones that would be in style at the moment, but I would not recommend doing that anymore, especially since the sell-through rate has gone so downhill. The next brand here I want to mention, you guys probably already know about, I would say, but that's the brand Sanctuary. I picked up Sanctuary in, I think, like a liquidation kind of website before when I was just buying a whole ton of things in bulk. And actually, no, this one is worse than DL1961. I lied. So it also has only a 2% sell-through rate with a $19 average sales price. Really, there is no reason to be picking this up either. I think even if you find it in the thrift stores, the average sales price is just really going to cut into what you're going to make. And I've been burned on Sanctuary so many times. So that is just my opinion on it. I would say no to Sanctuary. After that is actually very interesting because it's a brand I recently just picked up when I was at a New York City sample sale. The brand is Blank NYC, and the only things that are really profitable from them are their genuine leather jackets. Those still do go. But minus the jackets, I would say that their shorts, tees, anything else just kind of sits around. It's really frustrating to be able to sell it. Blank NYC only has a 2% sell-through rate on average. Again, I would say the leather jackets are obviously different. It's more of a premium material to have anyways, so I would say it's kind of out of the question. But the average sales price for Blank NYC was also around $35. So I would say for anything Blank NYC, it's a hard pass, minus the jackets. Number 17 on my list here is, again, probably surprising because I have mentioned it before, but again, all of these have been on my list in terms of low profit margins, and this is Everlane. The only reason Everlane's actually on here is because when I had first found it, I had paid $15 for it nearest my hometown buy-sell trade store for them, and they actually are not worth that at all. I ended up selling those exact pair of jeans for $25. I made literally nothing on that sale. So I would say when you find them in the bins, yes. If they're cashmere, yes, yes, yes. But anything else, not really that great. The sell-through rate for Everlane was 7% and the average sales price was 35%. So again, if you find them in the bins, do pick them up. After that is another brand that I'm kind of sad to see go in a way. The brand is Aerie. I actually used to pick up a lot of Aerie sweaters in the bins. People would pass them over, and the funny thing about it is I would be selling them for $25 and $30, and they were actually a pretty consistent seller for me at the time. So I remember I was having a conversation with a lady at the bins, and I was telling her, I'm like, no, like you should pick those up because they will go. And that was around the summertime and even before then when I was only part-time. And I will say that they probably still do go, so that's kind of like a hidden trick for you guys if you still want to sell it. But the average sell-through rate for Aerie was 4% with an average sales price of $26. So if you're fine making those low profit flips, that's great, but don't pay up for them and make sure they're only really in the bins. The second to last brand here is also kind of one that I'm sad to see go, but SoulCycle is not Peloton. SoulCycle items do go for significantly less than Peloton does. So keep that in mind. Whenever I used to find SoulCycle, I got really excited because it did sell fairly well for me, but not anymore. Really, my SoulCycle items have been sitting, and looking at the numbers here, I see why. So SoulCycle only has a 3% sell-through rate with an average sales price of around $42. So when I'm finding these at the bins, that's great. But for the low amount of items that actually sells from this brand, it's really not a great pickup for me anymore. I'm sad to see it go. And the final brand on my list out of the entire 20 brands that I will no longer be reselling in 2022 is Fabletics. You guys know Fabletics is just one of those things that is really, really overproduced. But whenever I try to sell it, it doesn't go too well either. So Fabletics only has a 5% sell-through rate, and it sells on average for around $20. So if you're fine making those low profit flips, that's great, but it might sit for a little bit longer than you had hoped as well. But that is everything that is on my list for today, guys. If you like this video, make sure you give it a huge thumbs up down below to support my channel, or subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!